Airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Oregon's a Fiesta Bowl champion in a 12-win season.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Happy 2024! I'm Joey Mack. Thanks for being with us. We took a couple weeks off of Duck Insider because we had bowl games, we had basketball, we had holidays, and now it's great to be back. And it's good to ring in a new year with a victory. You even just heard that our guy Rob Joyce edited the broadcast open to include the Fiesta Bowl championship. Congratulations to Dan Lanning and the Oregon football team, the Fiesta Bowl champions. You know, it's crazy. 11 years ago, the Ducks beat Kansas State in the Fiesta Bowl. 11 years ago, Oregon beat Kansas State in the Fiesta Bowl. So think about Oregon's program from then until now, and I'm telling you, it's really rattling for me to think about. So Oregon just demolishes Kansas State in that game. And it was almost the national championship game. Remember, Kansas State and Oregon both lost the same Saturday in late November. They were 1-2 in the country, very well could have been a matchup for the national championship. Instead, the Ducks, I still say Zach Ertz was out of bounds, but the Ducks lost that game to Stanford, and Kansas State lost a game as well. So it almost was a national championship. And I was thinking about that a lot as we were setting up in Glendale, and I thought, how similar. It's how close you are. And how much has Oregon's program changed since Chip Kelly's final game as the head coach at Oregon to the conclusion of Dan Lanning's second season as the head coach at Oregon? It's amazing the ups and downs that we all go through. It's also amazing, at least personally, to think about how much I changed. I was in college. Yeah, I was in college when the Ducks won that Fiesta Bowl against Kansas State. Scott just laughed so hard over there. Hey, happy 2024, Scott. Happy 2024.
Thanks, buddy. You too.
You were at that Fiesta Bowl.
I was.
Yeah. You were shooting that Fiesta Bowl,
I
right?
was.
Yeah. So, and now Scott yesterday instead was on a delayed flight and found his way back to the Country Financial Studio, and we're
back,
glad
baby.
to be with you. Yeah.
We're
glad to be back for 2024. So, we'll touch on the hardwood, what happened for Oregon basketball over the weekend, over the holiday break. But, of course, Oregon football, a bit of a slow start. Liberty scored on the opening drive, missed the extra point, and then that was sort of indicative of how the rest of the game went. Oregon got going in the second quarter. That crazy screenplay that the Ducks ran was actually very historic. It made it 38-6, and on that play, Bo Nix broke the passing yards in a single season record, once held by Marcus Mariota here at Oregon. And he also eclipsed the NCAA completion percentage record on that play. Now, his completion percentage for the season actually at one point dipped back below Mac Jones later in the game, but Bo Nix finished at 77.45%. That's an NCAA single-season record, and I thought it was sort of fitting that on the same play that he breaks the passing yards at Oregon record, he also eclipsed the NCAA record for completions. He also set an Oregon single-season record for passing touchdowns with 43, Bo Nix did. And then, pretty crazy, actually, Just about a month ago, Troy Franklin set the single-season receptions record in the Pac-12 championship game. Then Tez Johnson, with his performance in the Fiesta Bowl, broke that record. The number 1 and number 2 in the record book for receptions at Oregon happened in the same season, Tez Johnson, Troy Franklin, and I loved it. Sammy Parker even tweeted, man, these two guys broke my record in the same season. It really was a remarkable year. Bo Nix finishes third in the Heisman. He wins the Campbell Trophy. He was the offensive MVP of the Fiesta Bowl. Jeffrey Bossa was the defensive MVP as their leading tackler for the Ducks. And defensively, the Ducks bounced back from allowing 130 yards in the opening quarter. They gave up just 164 the rest of the game. Got a peek at the future at a few positions. With some of the guys opting out, we saw, like a new center, replacing the Remington Trophy winner in Jackson Powers Johnson. I thought Poncho did a great job. And I'll tell you, there was so much conversation in the Alabama-Michigan game about the center's snaps. We never talked about that in the Oregon game. That's a shout-out to Poncho. I think, and I see Tobiah even just said that. Shouldn't be taken for granted. I agree with that. The offensive line, I thought, operated really well. Even when Marcus Harper went out there for a little while, we saw Dave Iuli come into the game. A peek toward the future just along the offensive line. A peek toward the future in the secondary. Roderick Pleasant made a really big play. Zach Grisham recovered a fumble. A lot of good things from Oregon. Defensively, I thought the Ducks were good, and I thought offensively the Ducks were great. In fact, it was the largest margin of victory in the history of the Fiesta Bowl. There's been some high-scoring games in the Fiesta Bowl, and the Ducks were really, really dominant in the game. 28 points in the second quarter. That second quarter might have been the most dominant quarter we've seen from Oregon all season. Ducks outgained Liberty 584 to 294, 401 through the air, and it wasn't all Bo Nix. He finished with 363 on 28 of 35 with 5 scores. Completion percentage of 80% in the game, by the way. But Austin Novosad was 5 of 7 for 38 yards. Saw a peek to the future maybe there with Austin Novosad. And Bucky Irving, in his final game in an Oregon uniform, he scored his 20th career touchdown, 14 carries, 117 yards. He averaged almost 8.5 yards per carry. Jordan James, 9 attempts for 63 yards, averaged 7 yards per carry, led the Pac-12 coming into the game in yards per carry. Jordan James did. Had a nice performance. And then I want to say Jaden Lamar, he carried the ball 3 times for 1 yard, but he had 2 pancakes on 1 play. Jaden Lamar did. Future sure looks bright at that spot. How about the receiving, though? Tez Johnson with 11 catches for 172 yards, 134 of those after the catch. That's Oregon's offense. That's what the Ducks have done under Will Stein with Bo Nix as well. Trayshawn Holden, 5 catches for 69. Gary Bryant Jr., all 3 of these guys had a touchdown, by the way. Gary Bryant Jr., 4 catches for 62 yards in a score. Terrence Ferguson, yet another touchdown. We always seem to see a tight end, T-Ferg touchdown. And then even a peek toward the future, we saw Jurion Dickey get his first reception. Darian Anderson caught a couple balls. Kyler Casper, Kenyon Sadiq scored his first touchdown in an Oregon uniform. Whew. Quite the Liberty performance, or quite the game, I should say, against Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl. I want to come to a conclusion on the season throughout this week, and the way that we'll do that is hear from, one, the guys that were at the podium, including Dan Lanning and Bo Nix yesterday. We were packing up to fly home, so we didn't carry on our postgame show, if you were tuned in on the Oregon Sports Network, we didn't carry the full podium conversation. Instead, our Dusty Hara and Mike Jorgensen were running around on the field, and I want to say and pause for a quick moment on a personal level. Terry Johns has been recovering from a medical situation all season. I know a lot of fans have been asking, especially as women's basketball season's gotten rolling, and Chris Clayton's done a great job filling in for Terry. But I want to personally thank on the air Dusty Hara. Dusty from our Portland affiliate, thank you, Scott, from our Portland affiliate, 1080 The Fan. Dusty's a high school football coach. Dusty played at Southern Oregon. He's a great guy, great broadcaster, and he was kind enough to come in, help us out. I moved up to the booth to run the broadcast without Terry, And Dusty did a great job on the sideline, and maybe the best example of how well he fit in with our group along the Oregon Sports Network is that he and Jorgie ran around talking to people on the field in celebration. And you're going to hear all those interviews. If you miss them on the show, on the postgame show, we're going to have them all for you on the show tomorrow. Ryan Milano is going to be in this chair tomorrow because I'm on the road again. Duck men's basketball headed to Seattle. The Ducks taking on the Dogs Thursday night. So thank you, Dusty. I really mean that. Thank you to Dusty Hara for joining our crew this season. Couldn't have done it without you. 12 wins for Oregon football for just the 6th time in program history. You know what's amazing? Scott, the first 12-win season in Oregon football history was what year?
2010?
10! Yes! He got it right!
Yes!
I think he probably cheated. But Scott was there for that also. In 2010, that was the first 12-win season in program history. This is the 6th time in program history that the Ducks have won 12 games, and they've all been since 2010. So again, that Fiesta Bowl team that I was talking about to start this segment, that team won 12 games. I still contend that might have been the best team that Oregon has ever fielded. Look at the national perspective on that team. Look at the quarterback. Look at the NFL talent. We could debate this for years, and I'm not even going to get into the debate because there's going to be somebody who will be mad at me for doing so. The fact is that this team that just won 12 games is now in a conversation really with 5 others, including that Fiesta Bowl team, including those teams that played for the national title. That's a special team. 6 points. The combined margin for the 2 losses to the same team, I know. Still a good year. Was it a great year? I think Coach Lanning would say no. I think Coach Lanning would say the goal is to win a conference championship and a national championship. But you win the Fiesta Bowl, you win a New Year's Six game, never take that for granted. Some of the post-game notes, some records that we're going to talk through. We'll talk a little bit about Bo Nix. We'll talk about some of the final season stats. Also hear from all these guys and also talk a little bit of hoops. I appreciate Mike saying welcome back, missed you over the holiday break. I missed all of you over the holiday break. We would have, truthfully, the week leading up to Christmas, we would have had like one Duck Insider because women's basketball was playing in the afternoon. But I missed y'all. I missed y'all. Oh, Trevor with just the heart right there. I'm not, Trevor, I'm not even going to go there. Combined by 9 points the last 3. Oh. Come on, Trevor. Look. Yeah. I'm with you. But perspective, right? Right? I'm going to keep telling myself this, and I think we all should. I appreciate the comment, too. Dusty, incredible. Fit in really seamlessly with you guys. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. All right, quick timeout. I appreciate the interaction today. I'm only reading the Facebook comments so far because YouTube's got none. So to all of you that are watching on YouTube, but what do you want to talk about? Let's review the season. We got some time to do it. We're going to hear some press conferences, too, when we come back. Check in on the hardwood. Records, season stats, that's all to come on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. So coming up this week, as we get back into the swing of things, spend a lot of time reviewing Oregon football, also men's basketball on the road, women's basketball on the road, what happened over the weekend. Ryan Milano is going to be with you on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'll be joining him from Seattle. Heck, Chris Clayton might even be joining him from Los Angeles as we get into the swing of basketball season. Also, normally we start Tip-Off Tuesday, the first week of January, Basketball Coaches Show. Truth be told, a little bit of inside the broadcast for you. We originally, like the broadcast crew, we weren't going to get back from Phoenix with the team until today, which meant I wouldn't have physically been able to pull off a Tip-Off Tuesday today. Well, things changed, and I'm here today, and the first Tip-Off Tuesday is going to be next week. So to stay with us for the Basketball Coaches Show. We'll get back with it. Dane Altman, Kelly Graves, and we'll hear from all of the Oregon men and women's basketball student athletes here coming up. Danny with a great point. An all Big Ten, future Big Ten matchup in the championship game. No SEC. Yeah, how about that, huh? I'm in. I'll be honest. I said this at the end of last week. I've said this a lot, actually. Hook 'em. Didn't work out. And go Big Blue? Right? Seriously, in the comments, how do we feel about that? Like, go Wolverines, right? A Wolverine would beat a Husky. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Any perspective that you all Duck fans have on that, I'm all ears, because I'm conflicted. I just am. Let's hear a little bit from the guys post-game here in a moment, and also some of the final numbers for you. So Bucky Irving finishes the season 186 yards, 186 carries, 1,180 yards. He averaged over 6 yards per carry this year, Bucky Irving did. I think he's going to be successful at the next level. And then Noah Whittington, we'll see about the recovery, but Jordan James, 107 carries, 759 yards. You know what's amazing about Jordan James? How many touchdowns do you think he scored? And if you've looked at the stats, then just, okay. But Bucky Irving scored 11 touchdowns. How many did Jordan James score this year? 11. They each scored 11. I think the future is really bright with Jordan James at that running back spot, and I was impressed with the way that Jaden Lamar laid some guys out. Looked like an old school fullback on that swing left where he just pancaked a couple guys. So I think running the ball behind that great Oregon offensive line, many of those guys will be returning. Yeah. I like what the Ducks have there. And then, of course, Bo Nix finishes just an amazing season at 77.45% completion, 4,508 yards, 45 touchdowns. Just a new single-season record in both of those categories here at Oregon. The guy who had the records won the Heisman Trophy in 2014. That was Marcus Mariota. Big praise. Big praise. Also then in the receiving category, mentioned before that Troy Franklin set a single-season receptions record with 81. in the Pac-12 title game. Then Tez Johnson broke that record in the Fiesta Bowl. He had one extra game to do it, but 86 catches for Tez Johnson, 1,182 yards, 10 touchdowns. Troy Franklin, 81 catches, 1,383 yards, 14 touchdowns. 2 double-digit touchdown scorers and 2,000-yard receivers for the Ducks this year. Bucky Irving actually ended as Oregon's third leading receiver. He had 56 catches, but the trio of Terrence Ferguson, Trayshawn Holden, and Gary Bryant with less catches had more yards this year than Bucky Irving did. All of those guys over 400 yards receiving, many of which are back. Holden, Bryant, Ferguson. I mean, we'll see what some of these guys decide. Look, I won't pretend to sit here and have any inside information. I didn't even ask any of the guys that around the Fiesta Bowl. But you think, too, about Patrick Herbert coming back. What we've seen in those glimpses of Kenyon Sadiq. What we've seen and heard about Jurion Dickey and what the Ducks have even coming in. Remember, the class isn't complete. Signing day over the holiday – I should have said that earlier. Signing day over the holiday break, but the Ducks also will finish the class and the transfers. Yes, I know. As all of that comes to fruition, the first Wednesday in February, we'll have all of our signing day specials. You'll have the press conference. We'll have all that. Then we can really celebrate the class and tell you what the roster will look like. I think the next month things move around a little bit. We all know that. But what a tremendous year for this Oregon team. And I think, too, about the forcing of turnovers. You know, you talk about havoc rate on defense, to the defensive side for a moment. I mean, Kyrie Jackson has 3 interceptions. Steve Stevens, what a great finish to his career. I thought played really well at the safety spot. Savvy player. Has been a Duck a long time now. Steve Stevens had 2 interceptions. Tysheem Johnson had an interception. And you know what the defensive numbers are going to look like now in the future, I'm fascinated to see, because year 1 to year 2, the improvement on defense, just the overall statistics on defense, huge jump for Oregon. Offensively, the Ducks sort of, even between 2 coordinators from Kenny Dillingham to Will Stein, the Ducks, for the most part, kind of picked up where they left off offensively and improved even more. But this was a top 5, top 3 in most categories offense for the Ducks across the country all season. And defensively, Oregon ended up top 25 in a lot of categories. We'll see where it all shakes out. I know there's still a game to be played. But I want to say, too, like, the Ducks hit in filling the roster with some key spots this year, and I think that deserves a shout-out. Think about Evan Williams. Where would the Ducks have been without their leading tackler this year in Evan Williams? He had 5 tackles for loss from the safety spot, too. It's amazing for Evan Williams. Had 4.5 sacks. 4.5 sacks for Evan Williams from the safety spot. I mean, you don't see that very often. And if I told you going into the year that Evan Williams would be the number 2 guy on the chart in terms of sacks, would you have believed me? I wouldn't have. That was the sort of impact that he had. Just such a nose for the ball. Brandon Dorlus finishes his storied Oregon career with 5 sacks this season, and he got double and triple teamed like every play. All year long. Jeffrey Bassa, second leading tackler for the Ducks. Tysheem Johnson, third, then Steve Stevens. I'm really impressed overall with what Oregon did defensively. I thought the tackling really shored up. I think the numbers would back that up. And a shout-out to the two-way sport guy who this month is starting Oregon baseball practice. Bryce Betcher finished as Oregon's 5th leading tackler. Evan Williams, Jeffrey Bassa, Tysheem Johnson, Steve Stevens, Bryce Betcher. 2.5 tackles for loss. Bryce Betcher also had a pass breakup this season. He hurried the quarterback. I mean, that's pretty cool. Had a fumble recovery, Bryce Betcher did. Baseball practice starts this month. How about that? So I think Oregon's defense, some guys that are moving on to the next level, but you got to feel good about the final season statistics for the Ducks. 4th all-time appearance in the Fiesta Bowl. The Ducks are now 3-1 in that game. 12-win campaign since 2019. First 12-win campaign since 2019. That wasn't that long ago. Oregon is now 17-20 all-time in bowl games. 17-20. The Ducks had a drastically different losing record, like 10 under 500 not that long ago. Finished the season with a win for the second year in a row. Bowl wins for Dan Lanning, who's now 22-5 in his first 2 campaigns for the Ducks. Impressive. Ducks scored 31 or more points in 24 of their last 27 games dating back to last season. That is a lot, right? Like, it's a big deal. I come back to that a lot. Like, it's tough to score that many points consistently, and that's what the Ducks have done. Oregon leads the nation with just 5 sacks allowed. Ducks have allowed 0 sacks in 10 of 14 games this season. Quite the statistic for Oregon's offensive line, and they look to build on that heading into next year. Defense allowed 0 points on Liberty's last 9 possessions. 76 straight wins when allowing less than 14 points for the Ducks. That's a good number. Really good number. And how about that storied career for Bo Nix? 61st career start in the Fiesta Bowl. That extended his own NCAA record for starts by a quarterback. Set a single-season FBS record for that completion percentage of 77.45%. 364 completions. That extended his own Oregon single-season record that he set earlier this year. 16th straight game with multiple touchdown passes. And he ends up second in NCAA history with 17,334 career total yards. Tied for 4th with 152 career total touchdowns, 6th with 15,352 passing yards, and 7th with 1,286 career completions. He's top 7 in all those categories. In NCAA history, and I know you're saying, well, he has a record 61 career starts. But that's not just quantity, that's quality from Bo Nix that we saw all throughout his career. 74 touchdown passes as a Duck. That's number 3 in Oregon history, and he did it in 2 years. 2 years! 658 career completions at Oregon, also 3rd in program history. Number 1 in single season, touchdowns through the air, yards through the air we've been talking about. But I think about the perspective here. What he did in 2 years, he's top 3 in all those categories for a career. Number 5 all-time in Oregon with 8,101 passing yards as a Duck. And he's now alone in second place in Duck history with 10 300-yard passing games. 470 pass attempts set a program single-season record, and he tied for 4th most passing yards by a Duck in a bowl game as well. Well, there's the capsule. That's the scroll that you unfurl when you look at the Bo Nix resume. I wish him the very best at the next level along with all these other guys. An impressive career. And we got to see something pretty special for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Quick timeout when we come back and hear a bit from the quarterback, the head coach. Thoughts after the Fiesta Bowl. Ducks with their 12th win of the year. 6th time in program history. More to come on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping. You'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you. On the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping. You'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Men's and women's basketball will be back in action this week. We'll talk a little bit of hardwood, but continuing on the football front, we're going to review the season. Do that first with the Bowl press conference yesterday. Dan Lanning, Bo Nix, Jeffrey Bassa. Did I miss anybody? That was it. Oh, good memory. See? Sometimes I get lucky. Hearing, though, from the head coach, the offensive MVP, the defensive MVP. Ducks winners in the Fiesta Bowl, part one of the press conference postgame.
Yeah, first just want to say thank you to Fiesta Bowl, Verbo. This has been an unbelievable experience. You talk about the things that are benefits of the bowl game. For us, it's connection. It's the time that we get to spend with each other one last time. This guy on the stage with me, some of these other guys, their last opportunity to get to spend some time with us. And for us to get to have a great opportunity to spend time together and then go out there on the field and finish it the way we wanted to. We said, this season, and really this game was about unfinished business. And we said we're writing the last chapter to our book, and we had the pen. And I thought our guys wrote a phenomenal chapter. Start off a little bit hairy, but they finished it off the way Oregon's supposed to play. So really proud of these guys and thankful again to the Fiesta Bowl and the job they did.
12 wins only happened 5 other times in this program's history. What does this win mean? What's 12 wins mean to this team, this program?
Yeah, I just think it speaks to the direction, the base that these guys have created for where we're headed and what we're about to do. That they believed in what we wanted to accomplish, and this is all about our players, right? Our players, had buy-in. They knew what the goal was and what to accomplish, and we're going to build off of that in the future. And they really set the stage for that.
You end your career as one of the most experienced, productive college quarterbacks ever. Do you feel 35 years old in quarterback years, or what's it feel like now that this kind of odyssey is finally done?
Well, I feel like I have played a lot of football, but every time I went out there, it slowed down more and more, and by the end of it, I just had a really comfortable feel. And I think this year with what we were doing offensively, schematically, I think we just we're very efficient, and part of that is because of what we did offensively, and then the players we have on our side of the ball. And it's been a great career. It's been a lot of ups and downs, and it's been there's been some great adversity too that I've been able to learn from. And I wouldn't be here without every year, every step has been another journey, and I wouldn't have traded anything.
What I'll do say just to piggyback off that for Bo is hopefully everybody up here out here in the crowd realizes that this guy has the single season record for passing touchdowns, passing yards, and most touchdowns in an Oregon Bowl game right here at quarterback. Not to mention set the NCAA passing record for completion percentage. So he's done a lot for this program. He's played in a lot of elite ball, and we're really proud of him.
Back to Bo, just your thoughts on those accomplishments, and will you finally say that you played good football this season?
Yeah, I played good football this year because of, the opportunity and the situation that I was in. It wasn't difficult to go out there and play with the guys that, I was around, and Coach Lanning can say what he wants, but, it's a lot because of him that we were in, the situation we were in. He coaches us extremely hard, and he gets the best out of us, and that's what you want out of a head coach. And, his humility is going to give it to the players, but we wouldn't be here without him and his leadership. And, I've learned so much from him over my time, over 2 years. And, like I said, I wouldn't be here without him and the coaches that he's put around us as players. And, we, as a team, I felt like, we set the bar really high. We had a standard, and, we just wanted to go out there and match it every Saturday.
Obviously, your last game in the Pac-12 conference. Just wonder what your thoughts are leaving the league, entering a new league, and also the legacy that maybe Oregon leaves in this one.
Well, I think, Oregon's cemented itself as, a premier program in college football. And I'll say, more than anything, certainly grateful for some of the great games that exist in the Pac, but probably just as excited about what's happening in the future for us, where we're headed, the direction we're headed, the clarity, of what that brings. And that's really credit to our administration, Rob Mullins, and the people around us that have put us in that position.
Looked like you had a little conversation with Will and Dan before going out for that curtain call. You guys were smiling. What was kind of said during that conversation, and what emotions were you feeling when you were walking off that field for that final time getting that curtain call?
Well, we were just going through the little memories we had. It was both coaches were just super excited, and, I was grateful to be in, that position with them. They've done so much for me in my development. They've allowed me to have, one of the best years of my life, and I attribute it to those guys. And, just to be able to have that situation, you see it a lot, and you always wonder, like, you think maybe, one day that could be me. And then, today it just, it happened. And, I feel nothing but joy. I feel nothing but, happiness and gratitude for the entire university. I think I could go on a list on and on about what the university has meant to me and each person that's done so much for me.
What conversations did the defense have after that first drive and being able to shut them out for the rest of the game?
Yeah, little things like just keeping our poise. That's something that we preach, every day at practice and then all the time in the facility. And I think Coach Lanning and, Coach Lupoy do a great job of, instilling that into our minds. Just keeping our poise, going to the sideline, not keeping our highs too high and our lows too low, and I think that's something that, a lot of these guys in the offseason were focusing on, was that mindset of, next play mentality. And, we got to flush the next play, and we got to, look at that next play and reflect on it and, grow from it. So I think that first drive, just reflecting on that first drive, like you said, was, going to the sideline, keeping our poise, and then, that we were going to execute at a high level from then on.
And Jeff won't give himself enough credit, but just like Bo, makes this offense run, Jeff makes this defense tick. We give him an unbelievable amount of defense that he has to process through his mind, getting us in the right call, and obviously that showed up today, and that's why he was able to play elite.
And I get tired of practicing against Jeff because he always calls out our plays because he studies so much. He knows exactly where to tell the guys where the ball is going, and I think that's just a tribute to him because he's such a great leader. He took ownership of it, and that's why he had such great success on the field.
So it's the last year before the college football playoff is coming to here at Glendale for the permanent fixture. What's it like playing Fiesta Bowl before that change comes?
I'll let Bo go first.
Well, for it being my last game and for the season that we had, I grew up watching the Fiesta Bowl. I grew up watching bowl games on New Year's Day and, just dreaming and, just going outside after and just, playing like I was in that position. And, even though maybe you could say it didn't go how we wanted to this year, but I think it ended exactly how, we could have controlled it. I think we did everything we could. And with the opportunity that presented itself, we were in the Fiesta Bowl and we were able to come out here and play. It wasn't until pregame I was out there warming up, and I've thought back to when back in 2010 the national championship was here, and I was able to come to it, and full circle moment. I'm back in my 5th year in the last game ever back in the stadium, and it's just little things like that that God orchestrates, and he does things like that, and he's just up there kind of smiling.
Yeah, certainly a unique experience to getting to be a part of a New Year's Six. I think, every one of our players realize how special moments like that, how special this game is. I remember being in college watching the Fiesta Bowl with Oklahoma, Boise State, getting to experience some of these games and getting to be a part of it's really, really special, for these guys up on this stage, but also for our team.
Great stuff. Hearing from Dan Lanning, Bo Nix, Jeffrey Bossa, the Ducks with a number of strong performances. And, I got to say, there's so many high expectations for all these guys, and fans have them. Coaches have them. Certainly the student athletes have them. I loved the question, though, that Matt Preem asked, Bo, will you finally say that you played good football? And Bo, in Bo's way, said, yeah, I will. But both both those student athletes up there, and Jeff Bassa and Bo Nix, complimentary of each other, Coach Lanning complimentary of them. I mean, that's what you love at the end of the season, right? When you can kind of sit back finally and go, you know what? Yeah. Would they like to play for the national championship? Yeah. Everybody does. But you know what? Bowl games do give you a unique opportunity where you can win the last one on your schedule. The Ducks did that. Congratulations to Oregon. Big deal. When we come back, more from those three guys at the podium on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Make the most of your holidays with a new Toyota at Toyotathon. From ski trips to holiday shopping, you'll be thanking yourself all season long.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyotathon ends January 2nd. Participating dealers only. Toyota. Let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Part 2 of the Bowl Press Conference. Everything said at the podium. Head coach Dan Lanning, quarterback Bo Nix, linebacker Jeffrey Bassa, the offensive and defensive MVPs of the Fiesta Bowl Ducks with a 12-win season. Those three guys met with the media post-game.
Offensively, you guys seem to flip the switch in that third drive. What do you think attributed to kind of the sluggish start as far as points go, and how did the experience and leadership you guys have on the sideline, how did you flip that switch to score all those touchdowns in a row?
Yeah, I think we just had to settle in. You know, they had some success getting hands up on some batted balls that probably would have been successful plays early. But once we settled in and, you know, made sure that we weren't beating ourselves. We talk about, you know, bowl games come down to the team that tackles the best, the team that doesn't penalize themselves. I think we walked out of the day with, you know, 2 penalties. You know, that's a big credit to our guys operating really well. But as long as we operate within sequence, it's hard to stop the Ducks.
Yeah, I think we were a batted ball and a poor, inaccurate throw from having success on the first 2 drives. But, you know, just like we do all year, we just got to settle in and continue to go. We knew that the defense was going to continue to get us the ball back, so we just had to go down there and score the first time. And once we did that, once Bucky had that long run, that really started things.
Bo, so much has been made about your decision to play in this game when a lot of guys in your position wouldn't have or around the country didn't. What message do you think it sends, or what message do you have for players who are going to make that decision in the future about participating at the end of the year, even if there isn't the carrot of it's for a national championship, or there's not necessarily the quote-unquote stakes that, you know, would bring a player out? What did you get from this, do you think, and what do you think other players could if they looked at it differently?
Well, for me, my decision was simple. I wanted to go out and compete one more time. I wanted to go out and play another game. I don't think you're promised many opportunities to play the game of football. And with the year that we had, it would have been a shame if I didn't go out there and finish with the guys who made it all possible. And so all I can go off is just my feelings and my decision. I didn't think, I never had a question if I was playing with it or playing in it. I just kind of thought, it was going to be assumed that I was going to play in it, to be honest with you. But there wasn't much of a decision, and for some guys that's different. It's all, situationally based. But I just couldn't wait to get back on the field with these guys after what happened on December 1st, and I couldn't wait to go back out there and compete one more time. And if I had the opportunity, I was going to go use it.
Dan, before this game, you were very praiseworthy of Liberty. Now that you've played them and won pretty convincingly, does that change your projections and your analysis of whether they were a team worthy of playing in this game at all?
Not at all. I mean, you talk about they were an undefeated team, that they had an elite season. Coach Chadwell's won everywhere he's been. And, we had the better game today. We played well today. And they're a good team. You can't discredit a team going, unscathed throughout the season, undefeated. It speaks to the quality of team they are and the quality of coaches they have. They had an elite season, and hopefully this doesn't overshadow the season that they had, but I know how I wanted to come out on the end of this thing, and fortunate enough for us, our players went out and performed.
Bo, we talked about your brother this week. Tell me what kind of day he had today, in your opinion, and how your feelings on, what he did out there, because he seemed to have a pretty special day.
Well, Tez had a Tez day. If you watch him every day, that dude goes out there, he gets open, he catches the ball, and he continues to do it over and over and over. I can't explain how, awesome it was to get to play with him, for a whole season, and to see him do what he did, and to see him cap it off with the day that he had today. It was like I told him going in, I was like, I'm going to throw you the ball as much as you're open. So you just get open, and we'll take care of it. And sure enough, that's what he does. And it's so fun watching him, because I understand what he's been through to get to this moment. I understand what he's been through to get to this point in his career. That dude's had to overcome a lot of adversity, a lot that I probably don't even understand. But I just think he's such a great human being. He's such an awesome person. He's one of the kindest people that you can meet. He's got a great heart, and I think it just overflows on the football field. The energy and the effort you get is how he lives his life, and he just competes even when he doesn't have to. He goes out there and competes, and I think he just reaps the rewards of that.
Talk about one of the easiest recruiting deals ever is when Bo walks into my office and says, hey, I think we got this guy that can maybe play for us. And I was like, oh, okay, what do you think? We're going to have to recruit our tail off. What's it going to take? He goes, no. Oregon was his dream school. And today, that guy that walked away with Oregon being his dream school set the single season record for receptions for an Oregon receiver. So big accomplishment for Tez, and nice recruiting job by Bo.
When you take a look at the evolution through your first 2 years, last year 10-3, go to the Holiday Bowl. This year 12-2, win the Fiesta Bowl. What do you believe are the next steps heading into year 3 for you with Oregon?
Well, the great thing about football is every team has a, individual identity in itself. And, what these guys built, they created, a legacy and created a tradition about, what we expect and our standard of play. But the reality is it has nothing to do with next season. So it's going to be about this next group going back to the fundamentals and starting from scratch, starting from zero and figuring out exactly what we have. But they certainly put the building blocks down for what it means to be an Oregon football player and an Oregon football team.
Lowest rushing total for Liberty all season long. What made you guys so successful in stopping the run?
I'll let Jeff go first.
Yeah, I think that just went down to, the preparation. Knowing that they were the number 1 rushing offense in the country, I think a lot of the guys looked up to the challenge and to stopping that run. That's something that we didn't do, in the previous game. Before this game, we didn't do that very well. So, accepting that challenge, I know a lot of the defensive linemen were fired up. Guys like, Taki and Dorless were fired up to, just go up against that offensive line. And then, obviously, Coach Lanning and Coach Lupoy calling the calls that they wanted to call, a simple call sheet, that we're ready to, just strike and, fit the gaps.
And see, I feel a little bit different because they had 168 rushing yards. So it still bothers me, when we talk about our standard. But I will say this, that our players embraced what it's going to take to win this game, understood their strength, which is it's a big strength. They're better at running the ball than anybody else in the nation for a good reason. So I'm appreciative that our players stepped up to the challenge.
Bo, can you walk us through that second touchdown pass? Looked like a bit of a broken play. You were able to put 6 on the board. What went down there?
Was that one Terrence?
Yeah.
So we've been practicing that play a lot, and we were expecting it to go to Pat Herbert, to be honest, in the corner. And when we came off the fake, somebody kind of ran with him, and there was the dude right there, so I just tried to avoid. I thought, somebody was going to be on the other side and probably hit me pretty good because I kind of lost my balance. But Ferg just stayed alive. He kind of found his way over the middle, and, when I looked up, I just saw his number and threw it to him, and, it's just exactly how we practiced it.
Not at all like we practiced it, but it worked. That's what Bo said to me as soon as he came to the sideline. He said, just like we practiced. I said, you're right.
A lot has been made of the single-season completion percentage record, and a lot of people online throughout the game were kind of doing the math as you updated. You got more completions. Was that in your mind coming into the game? And then while you're on the sideline, was there any awareness of where you are numerically? And how did you kind of deal with the pressure of knowing you were close to a record-breaking game?
Well, it was hard not to think about it because you're so close to something that you work so hard for, and that the season has led up to. But I would just give credit to the coaches. I think they were, aware the entire time, and they just did a good job of calling the game. And when they call the game like we do, we go out and execute, and, it just kind of happens. And you got to – I think the completion percentage is important because it speaks to a lot of people. It doesn't just speak to one person, because everybody that the ball is thrown to, they got to catch it and they got to do something with it, and then you got to protect it to throw it. And everybody was included. And so I think it's just a great, team accomplishment. I think it was just an awesome, way for this year to conclude. And, it's an honor to even be, recognized as that because of the quarterbacks that have, had those records that have had such remarkable years and seasons. So I'm just extremely fortunate, extremely blessed, and, I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Happy New Year. Go Ducks.
Happy New Year and go Ducks. How about that? 2024 starting out on the right note. Oregon victorious in the Fiesta Bowl. That was Dan Lanning, Oregon head coach, quarterback Bo Nix, and linebacker Jeffrey Bassa. All right, I got to tell everybody a little secret now. I was doing the math throughout the broadcast. So at one point, I even wasn't really paying attention in the binoculars and talking into Jerry's headset because I was doing math. And the old joke, journalism majors can't do math. That's why we were writers. Well, shout out to Nate Kruger, who did the math and confirmed it. So thanks, Nate. Nate was actually texting me updates to make sure that I was on the right track, which was helpful. So, yeah, at one point, Bo had broken the record, or he had eclipsed that season mark with the touchdown to Tez that was to the screen to the left. Then an incompletion actually dropped him down below the mark. And then as a result, he needed to go 3 for 3. He ended up going 4 for 4 after that, and that's what got him to 77.45%, NCAA record. What's really amazing about that mark, though, to me, is that some of the previous record was only 3 years ago. Mac Jones said it at Alabama. And then even like number 3 and number 4 historically are all within the last few years. Speaks to offensive efficiency, and I think a lot of offenses similar to Oregon's utilizing the layups, as you say, getting the ball to guys in space like a Tez, like so many for Oregon. Also, though, you got to have an accurate quarterback, and Bo Nix sure was an accurate quarterback really all throughout this season. So the Ducks finish it off. Football season behind us now. Wildly. Started Duck Insider in August. The debut episode was basically all about football and media day. And now here we are starting after the holiday break, and we wrap it up. And then it's going to be signing day before we know it. We didn't get to any men's basketball today, which means Ryan's got that for you tomorrow, and some other thoughts on football. We'll get a timeout, come back, tell you what's to come for the week, check in around Oregon athletics after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Wrapping up Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Coming up this week, we've got all of those post-game interviews from the field that we did on the Oregon Sports Network's post-game show. Dusty Hare and Mike Jorgensen running around, Jorgie doing interviews while Jerry and I were upstairs in the booth. So we got that for you tomorrow. Ryan Milano is going to be with you through the rest of the week because I'm getting on a plane with men's basketball tomorrow. The Ducks play in Seattle, looking to get the Dogs. And, you know, Washington basketball has been better than I thought they'd be this year. They've lost a couple that maybe I think Husky fans would say they shouldn't have lost, but they did beat Gonzaga. Probably shouldn't have won that game. Found a way to do it. They've been in some good games. I think that as Oregon men's basketball gets healthier and healthier, and I know a lot of people are wondering what's the update there. The update is I think we're a lot more optimistic than we were a few weeks ago about guys like Biddle, Dante, and Mookie Cook might be making his debut pretty soon, which is pretty sweet. So, all in all, good things. Men's basketball on Thursday. Women's basketball is on the road starting on Friday. So, we did bowl pick 'em this year. Ryan's got a lot of other things to talk about tomorrow, so I can talk about this. Jerry got one bowl game pick right. And you know who won bowl pick'em with a 4-3 record? The Coin! See you tomorrow.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by